Welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals without pain. In each episode, I'll share tips and strategies that will help you stay safe and pain-free while you're working out. I'll also interview experts in the field of fitness and pain management. So if you're ready to learn how to stay active and pain-free, then subscribe to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones, and today I am joined by Kayla Johnson. Kayla is a seasoned fitness expert, entrepreneur, and wellness advocate with over 30 years of experience in the health and wellness industry. As a founder of multiple fitness ventures and a co-owner of the award-winning Star Cycle Santa Barbara, she is dedicated to empowering women to achieve sustainable fitness goals and embrace their changing bodies with confidence. She specializes in creating dynamic workout programs and promoting a balanced lifestyle from restrictive diet culture, focusing on long-term success and holistic well-being. Her leadership has earned her recognition as a two-time Lululemon Athletica ambassador, and she actively supports women navigating midlife challenges through empowerment and sustainable health practices. Welcome to the show, Kayla.
Well, what's up, Dana? Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I need to put in the extra line, and you're a absolute badass, and I love you.
I love you. Back at ya. I love this. I love this connection with like-minded, we're just out there, one woman at a time, right? It's so fun. It's so fun. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. So, who are you? Why did you
Yeah,
get into this? And what is you, because you are passionate.
I am. I get a little excited.
It's all good.
I'll try to tone it down. Yes, I have been in the industry for 32 years. I landed in the industry because I was a dancer. And I don't know if you remember this, but back in the early 90s, it was step aerobics was like all the rage. And it was so dancey and so fun. But honestly, I needed a gym membership. So that's how I was able to afford my gym membership. And kind of like the rest is history. I just fell in love with group fitness. I fell in love with community that gets built around fitness. And it's been a life's work for me. I had no idea how many turns it was going to take, and it would bring me to where I am today talking to you. But gosh, I'm so grateful. My first pivot in the industry was 18 years ago. I moved to Santa Barbara, California, which is where I reside still. And I got divorced. I had a 4, 7, and 9-year-old. I was brand new in the industry, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. So out of necessity, invention happened. Kayla Johnson Fitness was born. I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. So I have owned, sold, and operated 4 businesses. And I do this now full time. So that spin studio that you referenced, I was actually able to sell that spin studio. I just closed escrow a couple months ago to a lovely 30-year-old, which is much more appropriate than a 49-year-old, which we can get into in a second, because I'm sure there's about that. And I've just, I would say probably the second pivot was COVID. I think COVID was a pivot for so many people. And for me, I was a small business owner. I've been open. My spin studio had been open for a year, and we were shut down, and I was fighting with everyone to stay open. I don't regret any of that. I was pissed. I was mad at everybody. California was a tough place to be during COVID. I was fighting with the district attorney. I was dragging my spin bikes in and out of my studio multiple times a day. I was fighting with the neighbors because heaven forbid we were exercising and the music was too loud. And it was just a really rough time. And then my whole business went to Zoom. I was like, what is this? It was a tough learning curve. And if anybody's not technologically savvy like me is listening, is probably nodding their head, because I'm a bricks and mortar girl. I'm like, let's do boot camp. Let's do kickboxing. Let's do bicep curls. Let's spin. And so our spin classes went to Zoom. And then more importantly, my private clientele went to Zoom. And I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. So my mind thinks a little different. And I'm like, wait a second. I can get outside of Santa Barbara if I do things this way. This is wild. And at the same time, I was in perimenopause and had no idea. I just thought I was mad. Fair. That's fair, right? But I was really suffering. It was just so convoluted, and it was just covered up in the chaos of what was happening in the world. Understandably so. We had never been there before, and it was just crazy. I'm remarried now, almost 11 years, and my husband and I have 6 kids. We brought 5 of them home. So you can imagine the frat house that was happening, right? The TikToks that were being filmed and the drinks that were being drunk and the food that was being eaten. I mean, it was just crazy, and all while the wheels were falling off. So in the depths of my despair, without being totally melodramatic, I thought to myself, this is interesting. If I'm suffering and suffering in silence, by the way. I know I'm joking, but like it actually was really not great because I'm the leader. I'm a small business owner in a small town and I'm a fitness personality and I don't ask people for advice.
Right.
I'm the one who's giving the advice. And that leads you to a very dark space because you don't know who to turn to or who to talk to. The lack of education is massive, right? There's such a gap. So I felt so confused. But in that confusion, I had this epiphany. I cannot keep using that word because it was not that strong. I had I had a knowing. I had something in me was like, wait a second. I have spent now 29 years in the industry and it got me ready for this. This is what I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. This is going to be my life's work. This is going to be my legacy because I'm needed. What's happening? Why are we not talking about it? Why are we not even amongst our peers having conversations about perimenopause? Dana, 5 years ago, I could not define the word perimenopause. That is so embarrassing to me now, but I'm a straight shooter. So this is what you see is what you get. And I need to be honest about that. I didn't, that was for old people and I was 44. Excuse me. Like, why in the world would I be in perimenopause? It didn't even come across my radar and nobody was talking about it. So what I did is I grabbed the women at my spin studio. We had almost 500 members and I just grabbed all of them and did market research and beta testing. And what do you think they were saying to me? Right? Belly fat, fat in weird places. I can't sleep. My hair's falling out. I have achy joints. I have brain fog. I want to kill my husband or whomever. Right?
Right.
Like it just was not good.
Yeah.
It was just not good. And I thought this is absolutely bananas that we're not talking about this and that there's not support. And so that's I didn't know what I was going to figure out. I was still lost. I still created my program. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to create this program. I'm going to bring women together because community is what I do. It's what I love. It's what I'm good at. And I'm going to get myself out of this hellhole and I'm going to take a bunch of women with me. And that's exactly what I've done. It has
That's
been
awesome.
it has been so fun. It's going to be my life's work forever. I'm 49 now. I'm not in menopause. I'm still in perimenopause. It's a really fun roller coaster, but I feel the best at 49 than I have ever felt. I feel best at this year at this age than I have ever felt. And so I'm just living proof that it's possible. Don't we just have to know that it's possible?
I think so. And I think it's interesting because we talk about, I think we want definitive timelines, right? We want to know that, perimenopause starts at this. And I remember I talked to a girlfriend when I started having hot flashes and I was like, this is fucked up. Like, what is happening to me? And she's like, oh, don't worry. It's perimenopause. It's like, well, how long does this shit last? Cause I thought it was a cold.
That's funny. It does kind of present like a cold, like I'm coming down with something.
I'm like, I'm coming down, right? So when the eggs are going to be done and then we're going to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she's like, yeah, it could last around 10 years. And I was like, what? What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Are you telling me? Because I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm getting hot flashes. This really sucks, but I could suck it up. I could do
Mhm.
anything. I'll
Mhm.
do this for a couple of years. Like if
Yep.
this means the end of my period and then all of a sudden I'm going to find Jesus and I'm going to feel fantastic because I don't have to worry about spending millions of dollars buying
Mhm.
tampons every month and all this other stuff. This is going to be great." And she's like, yeah, no. And then she gave me this book and I was reading the book and the book was old and it was talking about menopause and supplements and I can't remember the name of it, but like that was the only information I had. My mother had no recollection of when her cycle had stopped. Or I mean now like I refer back and I'm like, dude, you were psycho when I was 15 because somehow it's God's little joke that you're going through a hormonal fluctuation the same time your kids are teenagers.
Absolutely.
So it
Right?
just it
I should have been an empty nester or at least close to one, at least close to an empty nester. And then all of a sudden they were all back.
yes. Right, yeah, COVID totally threw in that. So, I mean, so when I was going through this, I, couldn't really dial in what was going on. I was trying to work out and found myself with no energy. I was pissed off because of the fact that I'm riding my bike with my friends and all of a sudden I can't keep up.
Mhm.
Or so how do you deal with that? Like, how do we learn how to accommodate these changes so that we're not dying or embarrassed? Because that
Yeah.
was part of the thing too. Is like, well, all of a sudden I don't want to go riding with you because I can't keep up.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good question. And I'm going to give you the answer that's as truthful as I can tell it is it's different for everybody. It goes back to your timeline. what you just said, right? That like, hello, perimenopause could be 10, 15 years. It's not definitive. And that's just, your perimenopausal journey, I liken it to your fitness journey. It's just that it's yours and it's not linear. We know that, right? It's not linear. It's not like it follows a timeline. It doesn't follow a specific set of symptoms. I've never had a hot flash, not
Right.
one that I'm aware of. I don't
No,
know.
you'd be aware.
But I presented symptoms in so many other ways. The biggest thing for me is I was up at 3 a.m. I mean, day after day after day, or night after night, I should say, and awake and like having anxiety. This girl doesn't have anxiety. So that, besides the weight gain, that's what really grabbed my attention. But that's me. So I think to answer that question the best way I know how, it's we have to recalibrate. And I wish that we could embrace that as an opportunity instead of a deficit. I'm working on that. I'm working on this because it all starts up here, right? It's the 6
Right.
inches between your ears. Like, we have to get this right. And embracing it as an opportunity. Think about how much smarter we are than we were in our 20s and 30s. There's
For
a
sure. I was a
wisdom that
dumbass.
comes, there's a
Yeah,
calmness that comes, and I'm not downplaying the upheaval that our hormones play into this. It is not fun. I mean, I can feel my cortisol. That's how in touch I am with my body. I can feel my nervous system get completely triggered in a way that I've never experienced before.
well, and you bring up anxiety, and I had that. And it was funny because it presented in such a weird way that I just thought, and I don't know why I thought it because I am smarter than that, but I just thought like magically all of a sudden I have a general, anxiety disorder. And it really didn't make sense. I mean,
Let me
now it makes
guess.
sense.
Did you have a doctor that affirmed that for you?
Of
You
course. And they
Yeah,
gave me
well, there's
plenty of drugs and they were really good drugs. They're kind of fun, but they're also a little addictive and they really didn't take care of the anxiety.
no.
But they helped me sleep a little bit. You slept like the dead. But yeah, no, and it was weird. It just manifested where, whatever your anxiousness happens to be, mine happens to be around nausea.
Mhm.
And so I would get that like tingly kind of nervous feeling. And then all of a sudden I'd go, oh no, I'm going to get sick. And then I would start spiraling around the idea that I was going to get sick. And so I need to stay home so that I don't get sick.
Yeah.
And then everything I was doing throughout my day was to get back home so that I can lay in my bed.
Mm.
And I literally started teaching fitness classes out of my house so that I could stop the anxiousness that I was getting. I also didn't want to pay rent, but didn't want to
Yeah.
do that anymore, that drive, because driving, and it wasn't like 30 miles, it was 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Driving to the studio, there would be this anxiousness about being away from my house, and I was losing my mind, and I had no idea where it came from, and I just thought I was broken.
Terrible. That's a terrible story. And you know what? I'm so glad that you share it because
Yeah.
who's listening right now that's thinking, "Wait a second, that sounds like me," and they don't know that that's a very common symptom of perimenopause, very common. I hear it
Yeah,
all
I
the
had no
time.
idea.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. And then unfortunately, as you know, the medical community just hasn't caught up. They're not educated on menopausal years. And so they're doing the best they can. But you come in and you're, anywhere from 35 to 55, and you're talking about all of a sudden having these symptoms. And that's what happens. You're on anxiety meds and sleeping pills and antidepressants. And as we know, it's not the answer. Yeah, it's scary.
Well,
There's,
and for me, it exacerbated because I had the chronic pain issue. So
uh,
then the migraines were worse, or they would manifest in different ways. And for anybody who's listened to me, you know that repressed emotions really are one of the backbones for chronic pain suffering. And so then I can't let people see me scared, even though I'm freaking out. And then so it was just making everything worse. It was
I
just,
mean, who knew
it
you
was
just
weird.
needed a good dose of estrogen?
I mean, I had a girlfriend who was like, I want to kill my husband. And then the doctor gave me a patch and now he's okay.
Yeah.
And then she was trying to get off it because that was the other thing is that she thought like, because the doctor told her like, oh, you're only going to need this estrogen for a period of time. And then you can cut it off and then you'll be fine. Like we're going to level out.
Yeah,
And
I hear it
that's
all the time. I hear it all the time. They're still treating it like there's still a lot of
like, it's
physicians
a
are still
cold.
treating it like, yeah, we can do this, but there's danger. So we're just going to stay on it for a short period of time. And we all should die on our hormones. Absolutely. 1,000%.
Right. Well, and I heard something the other day is like if I think it was Mary Claire Haver that said something like essentially if your balls were shrinking as a result of whatever, then they would be like, "Oh yeah, you have to be on the hormone for the rest of your life and
Exactly.
have no problem."
Exactly. I know. I
Yeah.
love her, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, leading the charge. Yeah.
She's one of them. So, back to you have this program
Mhm.
where you're trying to help us, like, navigate being a, I don't know, seasoned
Mhm.
athlete, how shall
Yeah.
we say?
Yeah.
And so how do you help athletes? Because
Yeah. It's a great
it's when you're feeling all these things,
yes.
I don't always feel my best, and I don't know, like, you can't be, like, screaming in my face because 'cause I'm just gonna cry at you or whatever. Because I already have a shame storm and I don't need you shaming me. So like,
Yeah,
how do
no,
you help?
I'm not screaming at anybody.
How do you help with accountability? Like, how do
Yes.
you help us empower ourselves?
Yeah, I love the way you framed that because athletes are type A, in my opinion, mostly, right? And
Yes.
that's me. I'm not gonna call myself an athlete, just to be clear. I'm a dancer. There's a difference. Not that athletic. But like we're tough cookies. It's actually easier for me to pull somebody off the couch. It's easier for me to pull somebody off the couch who's never really done fitness. There's have a brand new spanking baby, and teach them all the ways. We are wired. Well, I can speak for myself, from my own experience. I'm wired exhaustion. I mean, so much exercise to exhaustion. I opened my spin studio. I was teaching 13 spin classes a week
Holy shit.
in my early 40s. That is
Yes.
unacceptable. And then it declined to 9. Like that was a big step back. And I still teach. But we have to recalibrate and we have to reconfigure how we are approaching our fitness because it is keeping us stuck. If we're going to talk about this from a weight loss lens, which I think is fair, just there's a lot of lenses to look through. Okay. But if we're going to talk about this from a weight loss lens, we have to recalibrate and we have to pull back on that excessive brain beating cardio, which I'm a pro at. I should have a degree in brain beating cardio because it's my specialty. And I'll probably be in recovery forever. I have to say my infrared sauna has really helped with that because it allows you just to get so crazy sweaty and not have to have the beat down. But
Yes.
we have to back out of that. It is creating so much stress on our bodies. And from a fat loss perspective, it's just not helping us. So, I'm your perimenopausal meme, Dana. Okay. I got my weight vest, hitting the streets. And I got lucky. I ended up in the weight room as a young person just because my boyfriend was in there. And then I started feeling strong. I was 19. I have never stopped lifting weights since I was 19. I got so lucky. Never did
That's
I
awesome.
ever think I was making deposits into the retirement account for, 90-year-old Kayla. I had no idea I got so lucky. So it's just always been a part of what I've done. But in conjunction with all of this crazy amount of cardio, we think that we are burning calories. Sweat is your fat crying. We used to say the dumbest things, didn't we?
Yes.
So we have to, and that's a tough one. That's a tough conversation to have with athletes. Again, if we're talking about a fat loss goal. Okay, if we're talking about a fat loss goal, that's a tough conversation to have. And then I always talk about this, but there is something called joy.
What's that?
And I'll tell you what it is for me. That was good. So I tell women all the time, like, well, okay, let's break. First of all, we have to break down what we're doing. This is part of what I do with women. Like, okay, lay it all out. What are we doing? And we have to create a plan. Most women, I would say 95% of women come to me for fat loss in midlife. So we are looking at this from a fat loss lens and we have to dissect, okay, what are we doing? What activities are we doing now? And how are we going to make some adjustments? And I never take away joy. I might modify joy, but I don't take it away because it matters. And for me, joy is that spin studio. It probably will. I've done a lot. I've created a lot of businesses. It's my favorite. Like the community that comes together, and you know this, you're in fitness. You know that the people that come together under the umbrella of fitness are just the best. The best relationships are created. You see marriages come out of it. It just forges such amazing, great feelings. So anyway, that 45 minutes in that candlelit room, that loud music with those people yelling and hollering the entire time is soul giving. And is it the best fat burning approach at 49 and 3/4 for me? Nah, no, it's not. Absolutely not. But I love it and I'm not giving it up. So when I'm talking to my runners who just absolutely love to run, we peel it back a little bit. See, I don't get that because I ran to be thin.
Right. Okay.
I hated every second of it. I hated every step. I'm like, runner's high? What the hell are these people talking about? There's literally no
I ran for punishment, so
yeah. Like, "Oh, I overate yesterday." I'm guilty of all that bullshit. So, like, overate, overdrank, whatever, and then you go pound out 10 miles, like, it just disappeared, whatever. So, we have those conversations. It's really about just, like, it's brain surgery, and I'm saying, like, "Okay, well, if you love to go run 5 miles, if that feeds your soul, hitting your feet on the pavement and listening to the birds and the sun is on you, I cannot argue with that. But can we do that twice a week instead of 5 times a week? Can we weave in weight training more than the brain beating cardio? Can we do that? And so it's just this like negotiation all the way through because guess what happens? They get results by listening to me. And
right.
it doesn't happen overnight. And then you have all this time back. 'Cause you're not beating yourself up in the gym for hours. I mean, my personal weight like, my weight training that I do personally, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes if it's leg day. I'm not in there forever. And then we walk in the evenings, and then, of course, I teach a couple spin classes, but the girl who used to work out all day long, I don't have time for that anymore. And it didn't work. We were just resilient, to be clear. Like, it's not like those things necessarily totally stop working. I mean, they do to a certain regard, but it's the hormonal shifts that we make. Those hormonal shifts just make our bodies so much more sensitive during this time. So we really have to just shift with it. And that takes a lot of conversation.
It's interesting because I know for me, and as you were talking, I was reflecting back to COVID and I started teaching and I think I was teaching 3 days a week. And when I got Strava does like an end of the year, what did you do stuff. And I
Mhm.
worked out like, I don't even know how many I pretty much worked. I think there was only 20 days that year that I did not work out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm all proud of myself. And I also gained like 30 pounds, but because I was not eating properly. It was during
Yes, yes.
carnivore,
Yeah.
and carnivore was not working for this body and whatever. But there was this mentality because, and part of it is this, if you are type A, like raise your hand, yay.
Yeah.
Part of it is that we wear these devices and the number one thing on your watch or whatever is how many calories did you burn?
Yep.
And this has become this universal like indicator for work or effort is that I burned this many calories and it doesn't translate well. And what I learned, and I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the metabolic stress that I put on my body really just leaves me stuck.
Amen.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so I'm
Absolutely.
right about that, right?
Yeah.
Is
Calories.
stress gets interpreted. It doesn't matter. Like if I think it's good stress because I'm working out or whatever, stress is stress. And
Yeah,
my
and we
body's
just
like,
have to I don't and I this is the $1,000,000 question. I don't know I don't like clients to use the word calories with me. It's kind of like a bad word. They learn. We don't burn calories, we don't count calories. There's way better measuring tools than that. Like, are we talking about food? Absolutely. Am I teaching you how to nourish your body with whole foods? Absolutely. Are we dieting? Nope. Is it restrictive? Nope. Is there food that's off limits? Nope. Is alcohol off limits? Nope. But we're gonna have a lot of conversations about it. But like, you have to live. In my opinion, you
yes.
have to live. And what I've proven with hundreds and hundreds of women, including myself, is that you can live this way and be really happy and get results. It's not all or nothing. It's not, look a certain way, but done with massive restriction. And that, if you're a part of the 80s and 90s, that's what we have been indoctrinated with is a diet culture. And that doesn't just shift, right? That doesn't just shift.
It was a massive marketing
Ugh,
string.
still,
I mean, when you think about somebody was talking about it the other day, like Tybo,
What was his name? Billy,
Billy
Billy Blank.
Blanks, he right, all those guys there, and it was funny because there were guys that were like helping us burn calories, and even I remember when I first started in perimenopause, I made an attempt to do insanity.
My God, Sean T. He's the best. He's the best and the worst. I had did you have the DVDs?
Yeah,
I had that. That's how old I am. I had the ones that fold out.
yeah, and it was horrible. Like, and of course, because
So
I
hard.
wasn't my cycles were so irregular and I was not probably eating right and all those things. I mean, it was a nightmare of a workout. I thought I was going to die. And everybody else who's doing it is like, I feel fantastic and I feel invigorated because they probably weren't in perimenopause and had no idea what was going on. And I was just like, I could not get through a workout. I thought I was dying.
Well, to your point, what you just asked me, yes, that was too stressful for you at that
Yes.
time of life. You're 100% right. For a 25-year-old, amazing. In fact, it's funny. I was talking to a girlfriend 2 weeks ago, and she's 28, to be clear, but she was telling we were talking about weight loss. Weird. And she was saying that when she was 25, it was in between one of her pregnancies. She's like, I lost so much weight doing insanity. I'm like, because you're 25.
Well, it's like guys, they're like, they stop drinking for a week
They're
and they drop 12
simpletons.
pounds, which is so frustrating. So you've been doing this work a while. What are some common misconceptions that people have about perimenopause that you run into, and how do you coach us through it?
Yeah, I feel like we nailed a couple of them, right? We nailed a couple of them. The calories in, calories out. I need to burn calories, all of that. I think that hormone replacement therapy is a big one. I'm not a physician. I act like I am. And so I just have a lot of research under my belt, and I that's part of what I do with women as well, as I point them in the right direction. I love to stay in local markets and utilize insurance, but we have to have these conversations with our physicians, and I think that there is a lot of women who are thinking they should white knuckle it.
Yes.
Right? And that's such an old school way of thinking, and I have to admit that that's probably was in there for me too. A massive lack of education for sure, but somewhere that was in me, that in my brain, that if I was gonna do bioidentical hormones to get through perimenopause symptoms, I was probably gonna get breast cancer.
Mhm.
And I don't ever remember anybody ever saying that to me, but it was in there. So see how slippery it is? So I have to say that, like, that's probably one of the biggest myths that I have to not have to, that I get to discuss with them and really have, that kind of that first conversation, and then of course encourage them to go do their own research to know that that is part of the puzzle. Also, there is not an answer. That's probably the most frustrating thing for most women is they're looking for that one thing. They're looking for that one Instagram tip, that one missing puzzle piece that's going to bring the whole thing together. Nope. You got to do all the things. And there's so many things, because we have to address hormones, and we have to address how we're attacking fitness, and we have to fuel our body. I would say probably most women, 90% of women that come to me, are way under fueling their body. Why? Because we were taught calorie restriction. We were taught to move more and eat less.
I'm all guilty.
Sure. Yeah, we were all, hey, girl, we were all guilty, myself included. Okay. We were all guilty. We didn't know better, but now we do. And if we don't, we should learn. And so getting women to eat the adequate amount of protein, and how to do it where it's not a part time job. It can feel like a part-time job in the beginning. I totally get that. I prioritize protein and fiber because I
Yes.
think that we vilified carbohydrates a bit. So I think that women, at least in my experience, are a little bit afraid of carbohydrates. So I have them track fiber immediately. Well, where does fiber typically come from? Carbohydrate.
Avocados.
Carbo and yeah, avocado is a good source too, but mainly carbohydrates, right? So learning that there's so many carbohydrates. Now your processed foods, it's a whole nother conversation, but those kind of all get lumped in together, right? So it's a lot of education. I tell women, you're not on a diet with me, you're not on a cleanse, you're not on a challenge, you're in school.
Yeah.
You're in a 90-day
Well,
education.
it's crazy when because you brought up the protein piece, and
Mhm.
I don't know where I heard it. I heard it somewhere and I was like, "Oh, damn, I gotta, I should probably check that." And because I had been eating well, or at least what I perceived as eating well. And so it's like, okay, well, I haven't checked my macros in a while and my weight has changed. And I can't remember what I heard. It was something like one gram of protein for how much you weigh.
Mhm.
And then some people are like point 0.7, you work it out, whatever. And so I'm supposed to be taking in a shit ton of protein. And when I started looking at my breakfast, I would have a smoothie, and sure, I'm putting in protein powder in that. So, okay, I was getting a little bit, although I read the directions wrong for whatever reason. Cause one of the ones I was using from Costco, I thought, oh, it's a scoop, and it's not, it's two.
Ew.
So I was getting about 10 grams of protein for breakfast.
Mm.
And then for lunch, I was having maybe a little something like if I made dinner the night before, steak or something like that. So I have like 2, 3 ounces of meat at lunch with a salad because I was trying to prioritize fiber and getting that stuff in there. So who knows how much protein was like in other stuff that I had, nuts and avocado and all that other. And then dinner, I would have whatever I ate for dinner. So one day I just did a rough estimate and I was like, oh, 60 grams of protein. And I was like, cool. And then when I did the calculations, I was like, shit,
Yeah.
no wonder why I don't feel good after I work out. No wonder why I'm sore. It's like,
Yeah.
how do your muscles rebuild after you put them under strenuous, strain, lifting weights or doing whatever, if you're under fueling your body?
Yes. And
So,
when you've been taught that that's how you stay thin, you gotta rewrite that story too, right?
right.
Strong over skinny. Then that again, it just dies really hard. It dies really hard, and I would say that that's always the biggest shocker. I think we tell ourselves stories about how much we're fueling our bodies, which is why I have them document everything. What we track, we can measure. What we measure, we can change. And so it has to start with tracking, and we it's not intended to do forever, but it gives us an idea of what's actually happening. Because I'm really good about just meeting women where they are. So I have to get some data first, and they're always surprised. Like, "Oh gosh, I was having avocado toast for breakfast thinking I was killing it." I'm like, "Well, we need to make some modifications to
Yeah.
that."
And
Yeah,
that's the crazy piece is that, like, I thought, and I don't know, well, yeah, might as well admit, yeah, I think I was doing it because I did want to lose weight. Like, I thought this was a good way for me to get, eat properly, quote unquote. And then also, like, oh, maybe the side effect will be that weight will drop off because
why is
I
that a
think
bad
it's a
thing,
part
though?
of my DNA. Like, I
Yeah,
think
but why
it's
is
just
that
indoctrinated into me.
yeah, but why is that a bad thing to wanna lose weight? If you feel like you're at an unhealthy weight, I'm
No,
not saying
because
that
I'm
you are.
getting the messages on Instagram and whatever
Yeah,
that I need to embrace my fatness. Sorry. And it's,
no wonder why we're best friends now. That that's amazing. TikTok is the worst. Everyone keeps telling me to get on TikTok. I'm like, "I don't think I can do it."
well, and I love it, right? Like, my son and I were having this conversation because he's like, all right, kind of no shade to Lizzo, but she was like, hey, fat
Yeah,
is beautiful and all this other
yeah,
stuff. And he goes, and then she goes and loses weight. He goes, so what message is she sending? Because we knew she was unhealthy because she was too big.
absolutely.
But she's like, "No, you gotta love me how I am," and I was like, "Well, that's kinda cool," but I wasn't on board, like, I wanted to be on board because that's the right thing to do, right? Then I was like, but I really," and then that's the thing, it's like, so now, like, my thing as a trainer is, like, I don't wanna shame people for being big, I don't wanna shame people for
Yeah.
being too skinny.
With you, but I also think that we need to own it. I am only teasing you and asking a real question because I get women in my DMs all the time apologizing for wanting to lose 20 pounds. And so that's where the brain surgery starts, where I don't even know them.
Well, I feel like as a trainer, especially, like, there's this weirdness about it because I've had to fight this the whole time of that I don't fit that body type.
Okay.
Like that the chicks that teach Zumba, like I don't look like them. And so then that was the weirdness where I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try to embrace the strong. And of course I had some disordered eating because of the trying to get things together for my chronic pain. And because they were like, oh, if you're gluten free, pain will go away. Or if you're carnivore, then and it was all bullshit. None of it helped except for doing the ugly work of dealing with emotions and feelings and all the stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll be strong. And then, COVID hit, perimenopause hit, and then all of a sudden, and I was also on a weird ass headache medication. It was like an anti-seizure that caused me to gain weight. So I gained probably 20 pounds from the medication, and then I put on 30 just because of whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I feel like shit.
Yeah,
Like, I really
absolutely.
don't feel very good, but I'm supposed to be okay with this because I don't want to have that. I don't want to show people, like, I want to be fake internet person and be like, I'm so happy weighing this much. And the reality is like, no, I'm fucking miserable. And my thighs rub together. And I'm like, and there's not enough chafing shit in the world to stop it from,
And your clothes don't fit,
yeah,
right?
my
And
clothes don't fit.
that's
And,
what I mean, like that it's all relative.
right.
Everyone's journey is completely different. I think everyone listening to you right now is like, "Yep, me too, been there," right? Myself
Yeah.
included.
Trying to do a forward fold and have to open my legs so that my
Yeah.
belly has
Yeah, I
space so I
mean,
can breathe.
seriously, it's true, but, like, when you're not feeling your best self, there's no reason to apologize for wanting to feel better, is all
Right.
I'm saying. There's no reason to apologize for wanting to be in your best body. I mean, this is all we got.
But we are women, and that is something that unfortunately is our default of
Yes.
saying I'm sorry or whatever. And there is a shame, I think, in making sure that we do take care of ourselves first because and I always remember there was an episode of Oprah where she was talking to Winona Judd, and Winona had done a lot of work at that point, and she was, trying to figure out who she was. I mean, she had a shitty upbringing and is all kind of batshit crazy. But one of the things that came down to, she's like, I was looking at the list of things that I have to do or accomplish or whatever. And she's like, and I realized that wasn't on the list. Taking care of her partner was number one, and taking care of her kids, making sure her mother was happy because her mother was a little crazy,
Mhm.
whatever, participating so that the band had money and all these things. And she was last on her list or not even on it. And I remember that resonating and going, oh, damn, I don't know if I'm on my own list. And then like letting it go.
And not doing anything about
Yeah.
it, right?
Cause
Like,
life is still going and my kids still need to be
thought.
fed and I need to work and all that shit.
That's an interesting thought. Somebody needs something. I gotta go. Yeah, I know. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. We're at the end of the line. At the end of the line, and I help women try to rewrite that story, but it's a real tough one. So I just remind them that the most selfless thing you can do is take care of yourself. The most selfless thing you can do is put yourself first. And when you feel fulfilled and when you feel taken care of without a resentful heart, but on the contrary, a joyful heart, you can take care of those around you.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a great thing to have because I mean, well, and the timing's perfect, right? Because your estrogen's dropping, so your give a shit is getting kind of broke. So it does give you that
It
opportunity
breaks down for sure.
for you to be like, I'm gonna take care of myself now. Screw everybody.
Yeah.
So how do you get yourself into this idea? Like, because what does it look like to be for a woman in this time? Like, what is the balance that we have to hit where guess at this point we're looking at longevity, right? Because
Absolutely.
of that, because of perimenopause and menopause, you're
Yes.
thinking like a third of our life is dealing with those symptoms or dealing with that. Like, how do we ride this puppy out so that when I'm 80, I'm not stooped over and, what do you tell people? Like, what do I
So
tell my doctor? Like, how do I get my team on board with
yes.
me so that I can live until I'm 90 and feel damn good?
Education's number one. I'm gonna say the same thing I've said this whole way through. It's a different journey for everybody. So my optimal and your optimal are gonna be different. It absolutely is a different journey for everybody. However, don't worry, those listening. I'm gonna give you a general idea because I think this is really important. So doing the reps, whatever it is that we've decided to do takes practice. Just wake up one day and decide to change your whole routine. So I think that what we can do is we can do some education around hormones. There are so many resources available to us now. I feel like they're everywhere. Maybe I'm in an echo chamber, which is fair. It's fair. Okay. But like there are so many more resources than there were 5 years ago. I can promise you that.
For
And
sure.
just doing some baseline education so you can get quiet with your body and understand like, am I having perimenopausal symptoms? Just doing a little bit of research and walking into that physician's office like you have done research will change that appointment. If you walk in with your head in the sand and you have not taken time to really look into what's happening with you, I mean, make a list. I have it's called my menopause journey on my notes on my phone. I document everything. You can't hold it up here. So when you walk into a doctor's office, you have a timeline of the wheels falling off, if you will. Okay. You have a timeline of all the things and all the things that you've changed and having a really thoughtful conversation about hormone replacement therapy. So, from a hormonal perspective, you need a doctor who's on board with you. If you do not have a physician that's on board with you after you've done your research and gone in and advocated for yourself, you have to find someone different. You have to. It's too important. From a nutrition perspective, we have to learn to eat whole foods. I'm going to give really basic advice. We need to learn to eat whole foods and stop eating out of a package. In entirety, no. 100% of the time, no. It's not realistic. But the diet culture is alive and well and ready to take your money. So you have to be a smarter consumer. And eating at home is the number one weight loss hack. Okay, stay out of restaurants and stop eating out of packages, single ingredient foods. Look at how much protein you're having at each meal. When you talk about having a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, that's overwhelming.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you agree? It's really overwhelming when you've
Hell yeah.
never tried protein before. So I tell women all the time, just start with 70 to 90 grams of protein daily, no matter what, no matter how old you are, no matter what you weigh, it doesn't matter. Just let's get there first. Let's take that step first. And if that feels too overwhelming, then let's go 60 to 80. Let's just start. And then let's track fiber. 25 grams of fiber daily is your ideal. If you're having a hard time getting there, then let's bring it down a little bit, but you got to track it and you need to figure out which foods that you like that are fiber rich and we got to work those in. That's it from a nutrition perspective. That's it. Just start there. And then from a fitness perspective, we got to move. Get up and move. Do not sit at a desk for 8 hours. Set some alarms on your phone. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Again, this is all habit hacking, right? Which is what I work with my clients on because you have to do physical things to create habits. Get up and move and figure out how to weight train. The days of you thinking that you don't need to weight train, you're going to go silent into the good night. That's what's going to happen. Well, you got to pull your head out of the sand and you have to make a decision that you want to be strong and that you want to be around for people and potential grandchildren or whomever, and you want those years to be quality. And that is going to come down to lifting heavy shit. And you just need to start. I'm a total fire aim kind of girl. We'll unpack the details later. Just do
Yes.
something. And the reason why I did program design initially in my accountability programs is because it was a year into COVID. And what do we all have? We all grabbed something. I was dropping equipment off. I own two outdoor workout companies once upon a time. You know how many kettlebells and medicine balls and bands and jump ropes? I was dropping off. I never even got it back. I was dropping off equipment all over town. And it was like, just do something. You got to do something. So everybody adopted some type of equipment. And so I just start with what they have. Just start with what you have and just start and let it evolve. This whole like getting ready to get ready thing slows people down. I'm so glad I've never been that person, which
No, not at all.
makes me a little crazy, but that's okay. I'll take the
That's all
crazy.
right.
And so we just have to get into something and lean into accountability. Lean into accountability. A trainer, if that's too expensive, do something in a group fitness perspective, work out at home. There's so many online apps and things that you can do to support yourself, but you just have to make a decision. It all starts right here. It all starts with your mindset, and you have to decide that you're worth it. And you have to decide that you want to make a change. And change is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think it's even more than you're worth it. I think it's you want to live.
Yes.
Because if you don't deal with any of this stuff and you don't eat right and you don't do the hormones and all that other stuff, you're surviving and it's going to be a miserable survival. I mean, just stupid stuff, right? Like you're going to be in pain and you're going to gain weight in funny places and, all the things that are going to happen. And I think that by doing this a little bit at a time, one, bite-sized pieces always work, right? For everybody, but you do you wanna thrive, and I wanna do things, and I wanna have the energy to do things, and like you said, if you're eating out of a box, I mean, it's gunking up the system, and that's never a good way to go.
Mm. Yeah.
Kayla, thank you so much for this
Yeah, of
conversation.
course.
So, and I appreciate you supporting me through my confessional.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
How can people get in touch with you? Because you're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. KaylaJohnsonFitness.com or on Instagram, I'm Kayla Johnson Fitness.
Okay, and send her lots of DMs because
Yeah, because it's my specialty right now.
and we'll have all kinds of links for you in the show notes. Once again, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dana. It was a pleasure.